Hello, Westeros! It's us, Encounter Roleplay. It's Monday and it's the Crownlands. Let's go around and say hello to the beautiful friends and faces I have gathered here today for this deep dive into Green Ronin's Sword Chronicle / Song of Ice and Fire. Hype, hype, hype! I've just realized my book has fallen over. Haha, here it is. It's beautiful. I love it. Let's go and say hello to the wonderful Susanna Grace, who is already sassing me with her face.
What? No, I'm not going to stand for this because there's Tom kicking off in chat. There's you giving me shit. I'm not having it. It's fueling Allegra today. Thank you very much. Beloved Allegra, Tom. Thanks.
Hashtag Allegra forever, I believe, was one of the many contributions we had in the comments.
Allegra forever. Allegra did nothing wrong. Hashtag I stand with Allegra. I'll have all the hashtags, please. And thank you. Mwah.
There we go. This just in from Allegra Dorsey, played by Susanna Grace. Let's hop on over to Astor Tremaine, played by the one and only Nuno. Hi, friend.
Hello.
It's you.
It is I. Yeah. Last week was a breath of fresh air, Charlie. In comparison to everything else that happened to Astor, the previous, season and a half. So I'm really excited to see what happens now that I had my break. I assume that more dreadful things are coming. So yay, let's see what happens after Astor's spring break episode.
Spring break, $1.99. Woo! Speaking of someone who could probably do with a spring break, but is probably going to end up with spring sickness, Adeline, played by the wonderful Shauna. Hi, friend.
Hey, yeah, they everybody got drunk, I guess last session, except the two of us were very sad.
You were.
Had sad conversations. But yeah, Adeline's back on the trail, probably hungover as well. So hey, there we go. And got some new art for Adeline for her quote-unquote I'm dead disguise.
Yes, I am so excited. I was so happy when I got to put her up on the overlay. If you do like any of the art you see for the Crownlands and our other Fireverse shows, check out the wonderful Flying Sirius and also Susanna Grace, who does the art for After the Fire, our sister campaign. Someone else who does a lot of beautiful art and runs fantasy games elsewhere and around the channel. Welcome, Lydia, to the Fireverse.
Hello.
I'm so excited you're here.
Finally, I tried to come here earlier, but there's only so much space right underneath Allegra's ego, so I'm just trying to fit in here in my little corner. I'm gonna die. Worth it. So yeah, I'm going to be a cute little innocent woods witch today, as woods witches are.
Yeah, I am super glad to have you join us. I would like to quickly shout out our sponsors here on Encounter Roleplay this season, Helmgast with Cult Divinity Lust, which you can check out live on Wednesdays from 6 till 9 right here. We also did an additional one-shot last week, which will be coming up on YouTube shortly, and I think last week's episode from Encounter Roleplay came out this morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so there's lots of cult goodness coming your way. Keep an eye out for this week's poll. Mitch has promised that death means death from now on. So who knows how many players we'll have left by the end of the season, which is just 3 weeks away. But in the meantime, you can also enjoy Star Trek Adventures Sword of Kalis, which is our Modiphius sponsored show here on the channel. 3 more weeks of Qapla', which I am very ready for indeed. Modiphius make a whole range of RPGs and they distribute everything else that they don't make pretty much. Go and check out Black Void, Dishonored. They've just announced the Fallout RPG, which is very exciting. We're keeping an eye out for that, fingers crossed. And I think they announced it, if not, Sam can shout me later, that June is on its way. I'm pretty sure that's a thing that's been announced and is public knowledge. I don't think that's just insider stuff. Who knows? I've said it now. Right, moving on very swiftly before I get an email telling me to be quiet. Let's return to Westeros. Last scene, Astor, you were at Bellamy's house. Bellamy, dearly beloved friend of Jaime. And you were having a wonderful time at a party. There were boys, there were girls, there were lords, there were ladies, there were drinks, there was gambling, and you were cleaning out. You won 3 gold, and the maid Ellen had appeared and brought to you a letter from your sister, the sister beloved Allegra Dorsey, who had told you she was at the Baratheon household at Storm's End. She was not having the best of times, and she stubbornly wished you well with your life. And so long, farewell. Watch out, because the Baratheons are coming for you, was essentially how that letter went. You then spent the next 3 days partying with Bellamy. Every time you thought the party was about to end, it kicked off again, and they found a reason to keep you with them, to bring you to a new place, to meet someone new, to drink a new wine, to indulge in a new desire. You have had the best and the worst experiences of your life condensed into this last few days. Every time you've thought about going home, something magical has appeared before you that's kept you here. You have been doing a little bit of investigating into Tala and the conspiracy where you can, speaking with people, see if they've heard anything, there's been any updates from their native homes. As a lot of people in King's Landing have come from all over due to the siege of Tyrosh, which has been happening as well. Now, you are awaking from day 5 of alcohol bending. Alcohol in A Song of Ice and Fire is a poison, as we all know. And Nuno, I would like you to roll an endurance test, please.
Yay!
Yay! I will mention that the wonderful Hotflakes Tom did subscribe at the start of stream today, 50 months, by the way, and gifted you a wonderful crit to use today.
Why, thank you. All right, because it's probably fun to be proper hangover, or shall I say poisoned. Let's just not use that just yet. Just gonna see what my endurance gives me. It's a 12. Could be worse.
12 is pretty good. So you have that dehydration headache where your body is kind of just in need of actual liquids, not just alcohol. Anything else your body says. But apart from that, you do not have any additional effects from your 5 days of partying with Bellamy beyond this headache. And you know that today the fleet that had gone south to Tyrosh via Storm's End is returning to King's Landing. There's been a lot of kind of ravens and news bustling around, but this is the day when the fleet is returning. And everyone is planning on gathering down at the docks to welcome the ships home. News is it was relatively successful. They're not quite the kings of Tyrosh yet, but the Prince Valar seems to be very happy with his part in the siege. And thankfully for everyone, Prince Valar, future heir to the throne, did return home in one piece, but others were not lucky. And as you go down to the docks with your head thudding a little bit, that feeling of pulling at the sides of your eyes, you can see already lists, paper scrolls being nailed to one of the large forecast boards. This board usually has kind of advertisements for the fish being sold, messages for people looking for odd jobs. It's that kind of a notice board. But today it is covered with list upon list of people who died in the siege of Tyrosh, people who are missing following the siege. A number of ships were wrecked and haven't returned. And there are a number of names which essentially people cannot account for where they are now. And there is a noble gathering before this board. And you can see gold and white cloaks here, as there is a presence from the royal family in addition to the nobles who are gathering. Bellamy sees you on your way in and calls you over. He's kind of off to the side watching. He's leaning against a rail, hands steepled, just watching the crowd form and observe these lists.
Yeah, Astor was probably heading towards the lists, but at Bellamy's beckon, he changes course and joins him from afar. Do you have a chance to look at the lists?
Quite a lot of names, but I was fortunately given a copy of the most interesting ones. He reaches into the pocket of his coat and produces a piece of paper. She offers to you. The top of the list are the Captain Velaryon, cousin of Lord Velaryon, whose first name is missing from my list, but he existed. The next name listed is Donegal Bywater, who is your uncle and current Lord of House Bywater. That name is followed by Beric Baratheon, heir of House Baratheon. And as you go down, there's a number of other noble names that you recognize. Sons, brothers, cousins of various important people who were aboard the ships that set out to siege Tyrosh.
Well, I guess it was not as successful as they hoped for. It's a lot of names. Some
There's
less
more
fortunate than others.
on the back, Astor.
Oh,
Turn it over, and you scroll down, and there's a couple of names that jump out, but then you hit Yanis Dorsey, who is your sister's husband, and he is on this list.
oh. I was literally about to say I was thankful that Yanis's name wasn't there. Oh, it's gonna be complicated.
I imagine so. Have you heard from your sister?
Yes, but not after the siege. I hope that nothing happened to her. She sent me a letter, but I believe it was before that. Quite some time ago. Oh no. I hope she's okay. If by any chance you hear anything of her, do let me know. I'll try and hang around for at least 1 or 2 more days in that case. Just in case.
If you have the coin, I could send some people to look into it specifically for you.
Yes, I think that would be valuable. If she wasn't at the siege, then I am afraid something else happened. She probably doesn't know about this. It's better that perhaps she knows from me than anyone else. And slip him the appropriate amount of coin to get that done.
I'll return anything I don't use, of course. And he tucks the coins
course.
away into the folds of fabric. He looks towards the crowd. There's a number of small folk gathered amongst, and they cannot get to these lists, and they're calling out names. They're calling out and crying to find out if, any of their loved ones are on this list, but the nobles are really controlling the area. They only care about their stuff, as you would expect. But there is a gathering, and it's growing more and more. And this is one of the main squares of King's Landing, right by the Red Keep, and it is filling. And everyone is pushing towards this board. As you look out towards the docks, you can see that the black water is relatively calm and still today. It's a murky, silty, sandy green, but the sky above is a nice clear blue. The summer storms for now have passed.
It's good that you had this list, Bellamy. I mean, I'm afraid that things might get complicated soon. There's a lot of people here. People wanting answers. I think this will turn sour quickly.
A lot of bad news at once for your family. I am sorry.
Don't be. At this point, I am getting used to it on a daily basis.
Is there
My
anything
uncle as
else I
well.
can do, Astor?
Perhaps, if I am to stay here a few more days, I have some business that I need taken care of. And perhaps you do know the people for the job. And Astor will take out from his clothing the note that Diffin gave him and flash it to Bellamy. And if you do know the people, I need some kind of searching party to be formed, people that you can trust and that I can trust. I need to find my cousin before long. Otherwise, I'm afraid I'll be in much deeper trouble than we already are.
Yes, your meeting with Lord Otherus.
Exactly. I think I still have around a week to produce any results, but if I don't have results, at least I want to show that things are being done. And this is a good start.
Well, I can certainly reach out to my familiar fellows and see who might be able to help. You're far from the only person looking into the conspiracy. And he drops his voice, but it's almost dramatic. He's stage whispering this word because it's exciting gossip, right? There's a huge plot against the Targaryens, and he thinks it's hilarious. He's like, of course there's a plot against the Targaryens. They're the kings and queens.
Yeah. Yes, I think that if you can twist it that way, it surely will attract more people that will put some effort into it. Yes, that's a good angle, actually. I'm not sure if it will prove as fruitful as they might think, but for me at least, it's useful that they do think that.
Anything I might know about your cousin that would help them? Anything at all?
So now, Charlie, remind me,
Yeah.
and Shauna as well. When you left with Jaime, did you say what your immediate plans were? I can't quite remember. I don't think so.
I don't think we had a concrete plan other than try and find Tarla, I recall.
I think
exactly.
Astor knew the rumors that Tala had been taken or sighted to the north and west, but it was very vague, right? Some guy, Bill the boatman, maybe took her by boat inland. It wasn't super concrete.
That's true, yeah. No, in which case, yeah, for sure. So north and west, yeah. Fair enough. Yes, I believe that it might be wise to start searching to the northwest of Famine's Hold. Last piece of information that I have is that perhaps she went that way.
Very well. I do understand she is a violent woman, favoring the bow, if I remember correctly.
Yes, it might be good to warn the men that you find to avoid open areas. She can be quite deadly from afar, especially with a good line of sight.
Now, I understand the official account is that she died, pretended to die, escaped. Is there anything else I need to know about these circumstances which might help? And he's like, I haven't pushed you about this story, but I now need to know. Anything else I need to know?
Well, let's just put it this way. There wasn't much resistance to her escape at the time. and say I was preoccupied otherwise with other business, so I believe that she might have been able to cover some distance without any opposition, if you understand what I'm saying.
I'm afraid we've been drinking a lot. Perhaps you could put it a little clearer for me, Lord Tremaine.
Well, I have to admit that you've proven quite friendly and useful these past few days, and I thank you for it. But there are things that you might have to understand from my half words, Bellamy. I am sorry. My family is already in quite the trouble. I would not wish to make it worse. But Adeline, if she's not quite on the run, I assume she's on a mission that I hope she completes before she gets turned in. That might or might not be related to the conspiracy.
Well, I will make sure that we catch up to her, but not get in her way. How does that sound?
That sounds perfect.
What a mess. And he's looking out at the crowd now, but you get the distinct impression he's not talking about the crowd.
Indeed. It's been challenging times recently, and I am not sure what happened, what the Seven have in store for me, that I must go through such trials, but it is what it is, so I must make the best out of it. I appreciate any help that you may be able to provide. I assure you that I won't forget this.
That is good. Your brother also has a long memory. And he remembers many of my secrets.
Yes, he does have a long memory, for the best and for the worst. It runs in the family, I guess. Memory is one of our fortes.
I had not heard that about you, but I am not surprised.
Well, I try to keep my my skills not in the open, you know? The less people know about them, the more I can use them.
Are there any other memories I should be aware of, Astor? Any other secrets you wish to share, now that we are friends?
Well, depends. I do not know much, but I have approximate knowledge of some things. If you have any business in concrete that you wish to discuss, perhaps I might remember a thing or two. What are you interested in, my friend?
What do you make of Belari and Others exactly?
It's a dangerous question.
And I'd like to roll an intrigue with you.
Let's go.
Let's go. All right, so this is a status breeding test. I'm going to apologize to our live viewers, but currently closed caption is not working and I cannot figure out why. If you're watching on YouTube, for now, we will have closed captions available via the YouTube automatic captioning service. Fingers crossed they don't actually get rid of that as they're discussing doing, but we'll find out.
Does he have a higher status than I do, Charlie?
He does not.
Oh, in that case, I'll just go first.
All right.
Because of my thingy that I do not know the name for.
Your benefit.
Yes.
Yes. All right. So with your thingy, technical terms only here, you'll want to think about your technique and your action to follow that up. And you get to go first in this conversation. He's proposed to you. He wants to know information on Belari and Otherworse. That's, as far as you know, his agenda in this conversation.
Sure. So I'll just say that is a dangerous question, and then skip my action to consider and let him speak.
Okay. So with the consider action, you give up your action and you gain +2 bonus dice on your next go.
Yes.
I don't think it's so dangerous. Master of Coin, perhaps, but... Well, Baelor is back in the capital now, as is Prince Valar, last. And the king is slightly less distracted by matters to the south, although matters to the north seem to be getting worse. I do not think our Bravosi banker friend will be lasting much longer in his position.
Well, I am not sure what leads you to say such a thing. He seems to be a man of ambition. I'm sure if he tries hard, he might be able to stick around for quite some more time. At least I think that's his plan. I mean, I think everyone's plan would be that one if they were in his position. Don't you think so?
Plans are just that, Astor, as are ambitions.
Mm-hmm.
So far, he has managed to arrange a duel between two houses, which then conspired to not happen. He has uncovered something of a conspiracy, but no concrete evidence. Nor has he managed to persuade a lord to give up his cousin, with all due respect. Not to mention, Balarian seems to be somewhat distracted by any woman with an ounce of attractive quality. Which has been rather entertaining for me, as I send him them on the regular.
Yes, I believe your assessment is correct when it comes to that last point. If there's something that I'll give you for free, is that it seemed that he had quite the pleasant disposition towards my sister Allegra when I had a chat with him earlier this week.
To what end do you imagine this could be useful? You're a coy man, Astor, attempting to arrange a serious marriage between a missing sister and the Lord of Driftmark. How does Balarian Otherus help you? Besides threatening you with the loss of everything should you not hand over your cousin, whom you currently don't know the whereabouts of. What happens if you never find her, Astor? What do Balarian's ambitions mean to you then? And he is going to attempt to incite you against Balarian Otherus. I'm going to roll some real dice while I do this, because I have a million windows open and I can't find roll20.
Sure. That's a lot of dice I just heard, Charlie.
It was some dice. It was 6 dice, in fact. Right, so I've got 11 plus 5 is 16 plus 4 is 20.
What?
On a persuasion insight from Bellamy.
Yeah, my defense is 11, so that's 2 degrees, yeah?
Correct. All right, and the damage of this is cunning rank. So that's 3. So 3 multiplied by degrees of success.
Mm-hmm. So it's 6 minus the disposition, which at this
rating.
point is friendly,
and
so minus 2, so 4.
He was just under double your intrigue defense. So
Yep.
the crit doesn't count. Luckily that crit doesn't count. All right, so
Whew.
now it's your turn.
Yeah. Perfect. I see what you mean. But the truth is that even though his actions are not quite favorable to House Tremaine, they are not unwarranted. Not because of my actions, but because of the other members of my family that decided to make my life even more difficult. Now, I am just trying to pick up the pieces. I do not wish to enter into confrontation with anyone else at the moment until I clean up my house. But I do see your point. It would be probably quite useful if the good things that he did for us stuck around while the bad decisions that he forced upon me were to vanish. But I'm afraid there's nothing I can do about it, Bellamy. It's just a matter of being lucky at this point. Yeah.
Okay, what would you like to do with that? Are you trying to convince him that there's nothing you can do? Do you think?
Yeah, I think just convince him to drop it. Just knock on some other door for this conspiracy bullshit.
All right.
Okay, so that's...
So you can either roll
Plus
persuasion, convince, or you could choose to withdraw from this intrigue if you'd like. Or not withdraw, you could yield, which essentially offer a compromised outcome, which is you can't really do anything about it, but you agree with Bellamy if you'd like to just end the conversation. Or you can continue with the... Okay.
Yeah, because I'm depending on what he says next, then perhaps I can twist it around in my favor.
So persuasion, convince, plus you have the additional 2 bonus dice from your consider action. So don't forget to put those in.
Yes. 17.
Ooh, very good. Very good. What is your will rank?
3.
3. All right, so that is 6 damage against Bellamy.
Ooh.
With 2 degrees of success. And 1 soak from his disposition rating. So, what if I could make you more than lucky, Astor? Rather than waiting for fates to decide, what if we gave the fates their options? Your brother is ambitious, much like Lord Otherus. Your sister, driven, like Lord Otherus. But neither of them are in control of House Tremaine. You are the Lord Tremaine. And rather than run around clearing up their little messes all over the place, you can set the agenda, my lord.
I would be lying if I'd...
The conspiracy does look bad, but the conspiracy was not you in any way. You were the victim, and you have other business to attend to in support of the crown, and you have been very loyal, as exampled in this conversation.
I would be lying, Bellamy, if I'd say that I don't agree with you. I think things could have gone much better, my way, if the skills that I know they have, my brother and my sister, would be employed for the benefit of the house. But the truth is, they are lone wolves. They like to go on their own. But perhaps if I have other people helping me and I wasn't playing this game alone, maybe I could consider something. What have you in mind?
Lone wolves tend to starve when winter comes. But a studded stallion sleeps in a well-warmed stable. I have a proposition for you, Lord Tremaine, regarding your future. I believe I have found you an appropriate wife, in fact. Now, it is early, and of course you will want to make your own decisions. This whole week has been about you making your own decisions. I would like you to meet her and consider her and speak of the stranger. And he is looking now beyond you. And you have the distinct feeling he just lied his ass off. He knew this chick was about to come around the corner. He's just been padding for time. As on this kind of little balconied area, a woman steps out. And you turn and you see she is actually attractive, very attractive woman. Has the attractive quality on her sheet, in fact. Good job, me. One of the great beauties of the age, one could say. Aren't they all? No, she has dark hair, Dornish, nearly black hair, almond eyes, and a tanned complexion. And she is a little older than you would guess by looking at her. She's not a timid maiden in appearance by any stretch, and she is dressed in ornate silks. And Bellamy smiles. I believe you already know her brother. My Lord Tremaine, would you like to meet the Lady Will? Or shall I make excuses for you?
Oh, Bellamy. This. Where. Oh, what are you putting me in the middle of? I've heard stories about this feud. Not sure if that's the correct place for me to be. Why would you think it is?
It would bring about some peace, which I believe our king would be grateful for. If brothers and sisters stop fighting over houses in the south. And she is a very well-equipped woman for politics here in King's Landing. And you can see that she is hovering. She's side-eyeing Bellamy hard because she was essentially told to walk out and wait. And she's not, like, there's a little bit of, like, pissed going on right now. That A, she's been made to do this, and B, she's now having to wait. But Bellamy is kind of giving her just a minute. Nearly there. Nearly made the sale.
Mm-hmm.
And you know this works because this is you selling horses, right? It's the same gambit, but this is coming from Bellamy, your bestie of a week, who has plied you with every sin under the seven suns.
All right, Bellamy, I will do this for now. I shall meet the lady, but this doesn't mean that I have made my decision. I believe there is one angle that we can play this, one out of many, and if it doesn't go right, then it will go seriously wrong. So I need you to tell me right now that you're sure that you can pull that one specific angle off.
I'm sorry, my lord, which angle is that? He just wants to be, like, clear on what you're asking him to do in the way that Bellamy does. He's always very clear on what the contract is that he's agreeing to.
If this goes forward, then we need to, hopefully, without the knowledge of this Lady Will, make sure that her brother also knows that this is something to strengthen our alliance. And that, in that case, would be a very, very valuable play. If this means that we can take her
if
out
I
of
might
Dorne.
offer you some advice about women, specifically Dornish women, it's always better to ask them yourself. They are not like the women here, and they're certainly not like the northern women who ask permission for nearly everything. They can rule They can hold their own houses. In fact, she worked very hard to attempt to retain her house, but she is failing to do so. In the future, it could cause some problems, of course, should she continue to pursue that ambition. But perhaps you could persuade her towards other ones. And he glances out towards the sea, like a rather large castle nearly vacated on Belsea. Come on, my lord Astor. I'm not suggesting we murder your family. I'm not suggesting anything that your other brother would not consider. This is about elevation, my lord Tremaine. This is about opportunity. We are in an age of change, because that is what peacetime is. And it is better to be sat at the head of the table when war arrives than sat with the dogs eating scraps. And war is coming. Faster than winter.
Very well. I guess there's no harm in testing the waters, so by all means, show me the way.
Right, and he is going to lead you over to this woman. And while that is happening, I would like to say thank you so much to Prax for continuing her gift sub. Prax, if you let us know in chat who you'd like to gift a bonus dice to, we will assign that. Now, Nuno, I'd like to hand wave your first meeting with the Lady Will. She's charming, but she doesn't say too much. She's essentially checking you out. And you will make an agreement to meet later.
Sure.
Bellamy is going to basically wine and dine you with the best Dornish red he has and give you an opportunity to let things settle. But he is suggesting that you go to Blurry and Otherist today and check in with him. Let the good Lord know that you are looking into everything to do with your cousin and other matters of your estate. Essentially, it's a go and check in with Balerion, see what his mood's like today for me, and then we'll go and meet this lady again later.
Sure.
So, as that happens, Allegra, you and Donella have had a miserable trip.
Mm-hmm.
You camped out. You were harassed at Hot Springs. You rode through the King's Wood until you reached the sea, where you bartered your way onto a boat heading north to King's Landing. You were then kept out of the Blackwater Bay by the fleet returning from Tyrosh, and you counted the ships, you counted their heraldry and flags, and you know that the House Dorsey ships are gone. They are not amongst this fleet. Of course, deep within, you're hoping they're just at Storm's End, but they are not here. And eventually you are allowed into the harbor, and you're docked up with the fishing vessels, and you set foot back in the Crown Lands. The Red Keep up on the hill as the sun is growing lower on the day. Pushing into the city, the crowd that had gathered in that square has not dissipated. They hold a vigil before the board. Continuously, names are called out, a choir of mourning. There are a number of sept, silent sisters. There are also red priests that have arrived to join in what is happening here. The King's Guard have returned to the castle, but a number of the city guard still linger should violence break out amongst this large gathering of people. And there's a smokiness that hangs in the air, people using braziers to cook food here, and also the burning of incense and candles in memory and in patient hope that these are not all lost men. Donella, as always, silent beside you. Her disposition has been dour since she uncovered the truth within the letters. And she does what you say, but she's not entirely herself. She's not as present as she normally is. Occasionally you've had to look for her, but not because she has wandered, but because She's just not noticed that you've moved away and has lingered somewhere.
All right, so Allegra will, she takes Donella by the hand. This is a big crowd. She doesn't want to lose her or have her pulled away from her. She knows how crowds are. And she looks at the board and she thinks back to that harbor and not seeing the ships. And part of her can't quite face going up to that list just yet. And she pushes past the crowd into town looking for somewhere that she and Donella can stay. She wants to focus immediately on getting them somewhere to just stay, and then that's one problem solved before she moves on to the next.
When you stayed in King's Landing previously, you stayed at the Golden Dragon, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's what we called it.
Yeah.
So you would be able to go down to that house if you'd like.
Mm-hmm.
You also know where Bellamy's is. You could, if you were trying to save money or be more low-key, look for one of the lower level kind of taverns.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a case of where would Allegra go? Or you could go up to the Red Keep and go see if Valerian and Others will give you a room.
Hey, boo. No, I don't think
Hey,
she's
boo.
quite...
Long time no see.
My husband's probably dead. How's it going? No, she... I think she goes to Bellamy's because he's the man that knows. If Giannis is on that list, he will know and probably break it to her a bit more softer than her seeing his name on a list. And he can hook her up with a place to stay. That's a little semi-low-key, but not as low-end and divey as a lot of the places in King's Landing.
King's Landing
I
is
know
what
where I
we
am.
can call it when Daeron II is executed in a dramatic plot by Myria the Great. So, before we get to that though, remind me who you're going to go see. I've just lost the plot. I just read that Prax is giving the crit to Lydia, so I'm going to put that on the sheet.
It's okay, you know, when I think about Maria's glorious future, I get distracted too. But Allegra is going to Bellamy's.
Perfect. All right, so Bellamy's is kind of into town, away from the harbor, in essentially the tiny spice market district, if you like. And he chose it because it smells better there. And as ever, the lights are on in the apartment. The door is opening and closing with people coming and going, and there's the sounds of a party underway.
Before she opens the door, she just turns to Donella and says, once we get inside, just avert your eyes from any sort of hint of flesh. Bellamy has interesting friends. I don't want to scar you so young.
She considers what you've said and then gives a small nod. She kind of straightens her dress, suddenly aware that people are going to be seeing her. And it's been a while since what she looks like has been important.
Mm-hmm.
And
Allegra's gonna just a bit of hair behind her ear and pat her cheek.
And she lowers her gaze to an appropriate subservient level. The floor will be the thing that she looks at when she walks into this room.
It's just honestly for the best, and I'm not doing this to be mean. It's just for your own sakes. Anyway.
My lady! You hear this voice as you step across that threshold behind you. The sound of someone standing up. Bellamy's is kind of up a stairs, and there's like a little balcony kind of area at the top where there's like a potted plant. Mm-hmm. That kind of usually for people to throw up over the side of. That's generally what happens. And out of this shadowy area below a window, a woman has scrabbled to her feet, and you vaguely recognize her as a maid from Famine's Hold.
What are you doing here?
My Lord Astor's inside.
Is he now?
Yes. I've been doing my best to make sure he gets his correspondences and not looking. And there's that haunted expression of, I've seen things in that house that I wish I hadn't.
And I think Allegra turns to Donella and says, see?
But I barely recognized you. Are you quite well, my lady? I'm sorry to say. Realizes not really her place to tell a lady she looks like shit, but too late now.
It has been a difficult few days.
I can imagine so. I heard terrible news came from the siege.
Terrible news?
The list of the dead, my lady.
Oh, I see.
Not my place, of course. And she rifles through her kind of pockets and she pulls out a letter for you and she'll hand it over. Susie, for you, this is the letter that I sent you last week. If you want to have a look through for that link. For everyone else, this will be going up on the Crown Lands Wild Anvil after today's session. We will make sure that you can have that.
Is it on Discord?
Yes, I did. Oh, good. I forget we talk a lot. I'll find it again for you and send it over in a moment. But you see this note, and it's a long one, but it's wrapped in another smaller note. And this note is in the handwriting of one Marguerite Dorsey, which you recognize instantly. She has one of those handwritings where you're like, I know that swell.
Yes, I feel like I'm in trouble already reading it.
Yeah. So unfurling this note, it reads, to the Lady Allegra Dorsey, would you kindly explain yourself? Much love. The kids are well. Essentially, is the attitude you get. And you know if she's being like that, you're in really big trouble. She probably says children, not kids, but that's the energy of the outlying letter of, I think you should know about this. Have you seen this, by the way? Young lady? Where is our conversation? And I'm just going to link you the letter again now. There you go. Over on
Thank
Discord
you.
for you.
Kindly. All right. So Allegra looks at the note from Marguerite, and part of her inside dies as she knows that Marguerite is pissed. But outwardly, she sort of chuckles to herself before she opens the second letter. Okay. And she sort of just reads it aloud for the benefit of everybody. My dear Lady Dorsey, from the Lady Delilah, daughter of House Baratheon, to the Lady Allegra, Lady of House Dorsey. My dear Lady Dorsey, I hope this letter finds you and your family well, and that you made it safely back to Tide's Door. I know that you wish to return with your daughter to your home to be with your family and share your news of your confinement with them. Confinement. Just after you had left Storm's End, we received word that someone had stolen some horses and small items from Lord Errol. There were some rumors that the charming Sebastian Will was involved, but I am sure that is mere gossip. I write you to share some news that will bring you great joy. Your Lord husband, Lord Yanis Dorsey, has returned with the fleet. He is alive at the writing of this letter, and our Maester Grayson, believes that he will recover. He has been calling for you, and I have taken to sitting with him to help calm him. I'm lucky for him. Unfortunately, Maester Grayson is concerned that moving Lord Dorsey at the moment would be harmful to his recovery. You are, of course, most welcome to join your lord here at Storm's End. I will ensure that Lord Dorsey will write to you himself as soon as the Maester will allow it. I know how much a comfort family can be during a convalescence. A number of other families are also remaining with us for the time being. Prince Valar says that your lord husband should be praised as a great hero for his service to the crown. It was truly a blessing that Prince Valar was able to join the fleet and help bring about this victory. Unfortunately, not all the news from Tyrosh is as joyful. There were many young lords who did not return, among them my dear brother Beric. I know you have felt that pang of loss and know what it is to see the celebrations of victory, whilst feeling the deep sadness for those who will not return. Those losses will be felt by a number of houses. There's one other small piece of good news that I felt I must share with you. I remember your kind invitation to journey north to the capital. It seems I shall be traveling north sooner than expected, as my lord father has accepted the offer from Prince Valar. You are such a wise woman, so like my aunts Catherine and Jocelyn, and having such intimate knowledge of all those who reside in the capital, that I knew that I must extend an invitation to my wedding as soon as possible to ensure you are able to attend. Storm's End is open to you and any member of House Dorsey. You will find only safety and security within our hall. I look forward to hearing from you soon. Blessings of the Seven upon you and your house, Lady Delilah, daughter of House Baratheon. Huh.
A lot of
Well,
good
then.
news, my lady.
Yes, a lot of news. Some of it good. And when was this
Glad.
delivered?
I've had it in my possession a little while.
How long is a
4
little
days.
while? 4 days. All right. Well, thank you very much. Your name is?
I'm Ellen.
Ellen.
I was maid to your sister Tala, along with
I
Darla,
see.
the maid, who is no longer with us, my lady.
Do I want to know why?
No.
How long have you been? 4 days. How long have you been in the capital? How long has Astor been here?
5 days.
5 days. I see. And I assume he has sent people to look for Tala, yes? If you've not already found her.
He and Sir Bellamy have been very busy about their business. Tala is a topic I have overheard them speak of often. And I believe
I see.
the Lord Otherus is also interested.
Oh, really?
My Lord Tremaine had an audience with him when we arrived in King's Landing.
Did he now? My little brother has been busy. Well, thank you so much, Ellen. I'm going to go speak to my brother now. Is there anything else I should know before I go in there?
There's a Dornish woman in there.
Of course there is. Who?
I was not introduced, my lady, but I gather she's rather important based on Bellamy's behaviour towards her.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Excellent. Fantastic. My day just keeps getting better. Thank you, Ellen. If there's nothing else, then you are dismissed.
Yes, my lady. She looks around this balcony and then promptly walks down the stairs and looks around for where she could walk to that is out of your line of sight because she has nowhere else to go. So away she goes.
And Allegra, like, seeing that Ellen was like, you look like shit, is like just trying desperately to do something with her hair, just trying to do anything. Like looks in the window very quickly and before she steps inside.
I think Donella would be assisting you, and she'll reach into her pouch of many wonders and pull out a hair clip for you and put that
wonderful.
into your hair.
I don't want to know where it came from.
Best not to ask. She couldn't tell you anyway. All right, and you step in.
Yeah, and she steps in as if nothing is wrong, like she hasn't been tramping through the wilderness for fucking weeks.
You step into Bellamy's, and there's a musician in the corner playing quietly on a stringed instrument. There is a large barrel of Dornish red propped up on Bellamy's bar, is essentially how you imagine it. Food is meant to be served in it, but it's generally alcohol that's up there. And this thing has a fresh tap in it, and the serving girl, Bellamy's specific maid, is busy pouring a fresh round of red wine into some very ornate cut glass goblets for it. At Bellamy's table, as you would think of it over in the corner, it's kind of surrounded by an L-shaped sofa situation covered in cushions and shawls and things like that. Sits Bellamy, your brother, a Dornish lady, and it's just the three of them. The rest of the party are kind of nearer the musician. It's as if they've been, all right, you've been excused now, go and party in the corner out of my way. And Bellamy is telling some sort of story to Astor and this stranger.
And Allegra is just going to swan over to the table, kind of semi-put out in her own head that they didn't immediately stop talking as soon as she entered, because, come on. But she's going to just swan right over. Bellamy, darling. Lovely to see you again.
The Lady Dorsey. I had no idea you'd returned to town. Won't you join us? Someone get this woman some wine.
I just got in, and I
Finest-
thought I'd pay my good friend Bellamy a visit.
Finest woman north of King's Landing. Currently in King's Landing, which makes her possibly the finest woman in King's Landing. Present company, however, might offer some competition. Lady Allegra, if I might introduce you. And he presents a hand, and he's about to say this lady's name. She says, "It is okay, I can introduce myself. I am the Lady Will." And she tilts her head towards you. She is dressed in a bright yellow Dornish silk with a sash of black that kind of runs as a deep collar into a deep V, which runs nearly to her navel. She is slender, and her eyes are sharp. And you see the familiarness in her expression that reminds you of Felion and Bastian. There is a definite household familiarity to the face.
My Lady Will, it's such a pleasure to meet you. It's so interesting that you would be here, considering that the Lord Tremaine here and your brother, the Lord Sir Felion, are such good friends.
Or is that the precise reason I am here, my lady?
Well then, what a truly blessed circumstance it is then.
Won't you please
Allegra?
sit?
Lord Tremaine.
How have you been?
Look at me, Astor. How do you think I've been?
Not
Sorry,
well.
just excuse me for one moment, Lady Will and Bellamy. I need to speak to the Lord Tremaine.
If you would like, you may use my apartment. And there's a set of stairs that go up to bedchambers.
I know the way. Come on along, Astor.
Go on, I'll meet you there. Just finishing this conversation.
She gives him that look like, do not keep me waiting. And she just heads up.
Okay. At that point, Astor does turn to Bellamy. Well, it was very pleasant, but I'm afraid family calls. So, if you don't mind, I'll be taking my leave. Bellamy, thank you. My Lady Will, a pleasure. Hopefully we'll be able to chat more in the future. And stands up.
Don't be long, my Lord Astor. From one
I don't
adder's
intend
nest
to.
another. The Lady Will, you see, leans over and says something into Bellamy's ear, and then their attention shifts away from you. Donella has been left awkwardly in the foyer. She's not sure if she's meant to follow her mother or stand here staring at the floor, not engaging with anyone.
If Astor sees Donella lost in the middle of the room and around this debauchery, he'll go, Donella, just come up. And make sure she follows. Yeah.
And will follow along with you. She gives you a quizzical look as if to say, "How are you, uncle?"
I'm okay, Donella. I saw by the looks of your mother that you had quite an unpleasant time recently. I'm sorry about that. I hope you're okay.
A mournful nod. You don't know the half of it. And she glances over her shoulder down towards the party curiously, but then it's eyes back to the stairs, down, following up.
No, I do not want to be responsible for you staying down there, because your mother will blame it on me. Your stepmother will blame it on me. So come along. Hopefully she'll let you have some fun to forget what happened to you, which I have no idea what is. But that's what I'm going to find out. So, and as he reaches the door of the apartment, just wait. Well, actually, no. Come inside. She'll know what to do. And open the door. Allegra, your stepdaughter.
Come on, Donella, sit down.
Okay.
She takes a seat at Bellamy's small desk. This room is essentially a big, giant bed and a tiny desk in the corner. That's all that's in here.
Okay. Now that we're away from prying eyes, what the fuck happened to you?
Astor, I don't know what you did to that Baratheon, but that household has a hatred for you, for me, for anyone who is even slightly related to you. Donella and I had to flee. We had to steal horses. And we have been traveling on the road from Storm's fucking End for days.
If for once you had decided to speak to me about your plans, maybe this could have been avoided. For once, Allegra. It's not that hard. Communication. We can do better together.
Perhaps if you
Of course
had
they
not
hate me.
fought for the fucking traitor and slaughtered a Baratheon on the field, we wouldn't have been in this problem in the first hand. And if you had told me that you had killed a Baratheon, then maybe I would have thought, maybe I won't go to their fucking house, Astor.
What do you think a battlefield is? I didn't kill a Baratheon. I killed a man fighting to kill me. I defended myself. I tried to protect our brothers. It didn't work. I killed many other men that day. It still haunts me to this day. So do not come in here and pretend like you know what that is, Allegra, because you don't. And the choice was obviously not made by me. I was 15.
Astor, I find it adorable that you think I do not know what it is to take a life.
No, I have no doubt that you've done it before. You don't know what it is in a battlefield, Allegra. Thousands upon thousands of men around you. Everyone in front of you is trying to kill you. Heavily armored, heavily armed. No stop, no end. Just an endless bloodshed. Battle upon battle. You fight to survive. You don't see faces. You don't see people anymore. You see targets. Because if you don't, you die.
What do you expect me to say?
To understand that it happened. And if you had told me your plan was to go to Storm's fucking End, I could have warned you. Don't go. Or perhaps give you the information and you could do the decision for yourself. But no.
Well, I
you ride
seem
into
to
King's
remember.
Landing.
Mm-hmm.
You ride into King's Landing. You think you know what's best for the entire family. You fuck up big time. Get stuck in a trial by combat that no one comes to defend you. Luckily it got cancelled and nothing happened. And then you ride to Storm's End.
Bedroom door creaks and closes. Donella has just left the room.
Well done. That girl has been through hell.
And whose fault is that?
Whose fault is that? Astor, do not play this game with me right now. Do not.
I don't want to. Because I think that if for once we could work together, then we could fix everything. But no, I'm fighting against everyone. You fucking go off on your own. Jaime has his own plans. Adeline goes on a murdering spree, dooming us all.
She did what?
Yes. Welcome to fucking reality. She killed Wendell's brother.
Oh, good for her.
And Wendell decided that after your little show here in King's Landing, that was the last drop, and rode from his household with a decently sized contingent of his cavalry to threaten Famine's Hold. And here, the reason why I'm here, in this place, King's Landing, I had no intention of coming down here, is to fix this entire mess.
Did you die? Did anyone die when the Gaunts arrived?
No. And who do you think you have to thank for that?
I don't know. Maybe you finally stepped up and took some responsibility for something.
That's all I've been doing since the day that I got stuck in that chair. Taking responsibility first for others' mistakes, old ones, and now for new ones. And finally, now I can see it in the horizon. I can finally start making decisions that involve things that I do. So please don't ruin that. I don't want to fight anymore with you, Allegra.
The things I have given for this house, Astor, the things I have given for you. You can sit there and you can shout at me all day about how I've ruined your life and made things so very terrible, but I heard that you are now due for another meeting with the Lord Otherus.
And if I am?
Well, then you surely know that the Lord Otherus and I are acquainted.
I have had the pleasure of deducing that myself, yes.
Such disdain in your eyes, Astor. You have your sword, You have your armor, I have other weapons.
I know, and I just wish you used them together with my sword and my armor. Perhaps we could go further on. Do things
I seem to
in a larger
recall
scale.
a letter arriving not long after I came here to do something about the murder in our house, telling me that I was no longer considered a member of our family and that I should withdraw any and all help. So are you asking for my help, Astor, or are you telling me to leave again?
I am asking you, do you want to help for real now? Or you want to keep pretending to help?
Oh.
Shauna felt that
because if it wasn't because if it wasn't for that letter, Allegra, the fine that you had to pay would have had to come from Tremaine's coffers that don't exist.
I personally think it's adorable that you think I would even pay the fine. So do you want my help or not?
As I said, I want you to tell me if you're willing to help and take my help as well. You don't need to do things alone, because we can do things better if we think beforehand. We use your skills together with mine and play on multiple fronts instead of you headstronging everything. And I just wish Jaime was here, because I know he would agree with me. But he's off on...
Astor, our brother is a useless bastard.
See? First mistake. He is a Targaryen bastard. Therefore, he's not useless. There are ways we could use his name, his influence, the people he knows.
You're forgetting one key ingredient here. Jaime himself.
As long as our interests align with his, it's fine.
After all of this, your faith in him is still so strong, huh?
As strong as it is in my faith in you. And that's why I'm having this conversation.
Oh,
because I do believe that we can do things.
Very well. I will agree to accompany you to your meeting with the Lord Valeri and others.
Mm-hmm.
I will agree to take into consideration what you say. I cannot promise that I will not act, but I will at least take what you say into consideration.
That is a start. But before we do anything, there is a more pressing matter that we must discuss, Allegra.
Let me just you cannot at all have anything to do with that woman downstairs.
Why?
Because while I was at Storm's End, Bastion Will disappeared. I'm not having you dragged into another conflict with the Baratheons.
Disappeared? Why
Yes.
would you take a will to Storm's End?
Because he was accompanying me on the way south, and he was due to just leave and go down to Will from there.
Why did you think that was a good idea?
Because we have in our realm a thing called guest right, which is a sacred and time-honored tradition.
Yeah, clearly, that's why he disappeared.
Which throws everything that we know about House Baratheon into disrepute.
Okay. Well, in that case, perhaps, if House Baratheon already wants you out of the picture, I assume now that Lord Beric, well, Sir Beric, I guess, is dead. Yes, he has died during the siege. Do you think the rest of the family still holds the same grudge that he did? Or do you think we can just forget everything?
Absolutely. But I do have an invitation to the Lady Delilah's wedding.
Wedding.
Oh, she's marrying Prince Valar.
Okay.
That's how big of a problem you've made there, Astor. Soon to be a very royal problem.
I've made no problem.
Quite sure. They also have my husband.
They have... No. Are you sure? You're certain?
Delilah wrote me in her letter herself. He's convalescing at Storm's End.
And do you trust this Delilah?
Not as far as I could throw her, but she's not one to lie about a matter like that.
I hope you're right, because that's actually the other matter that I wish to discuss with you. Giannis's name was on that list.
Then it's wrong.
Allegra, I hope you're right. I just want you to prepare for the eventuality that it isn't wrong.
The list is wrong.
Allegra, you're smarter than this.
Astor? And Allegra's eyes are kind of tearing a little bit. I am telling you that that list is wrong. The gods would not take him from me. Not right now. It is wrong.
The gods. You were never one to put much stock in gods. I just want you to be sure that this is what you want to go with. If the Baratheons hold such a grudge, as you said, towards myself and anyone related to me, then think of the possibility that this is a lie.
If it is a lie, if he is dead, if they have had any part of it, I will bring a wrath unseen upon that shithole of a castle.
Okay. Yes. I hope that isn't the case. Truly, Allegra. But it's good to see that you are prepared for the case that it is true. And if that is, then we'll need allies, Allegra. Allies that already have grudges against them. Even if
we
it
have
means
enough on
Dorne.
our plate with the Gaunt blood feud. You really want to add a Dornish blood feud to that?
The Gaunt blood feud might be close to being solved for now, and I think if you accompany me to this meeting with others, then perhaps we can close it off for good. In my previous meeting, I think I convinced him to make sure that the marriage is annulled and that we are not to interfere with each other's business anymore. If that's the case, if the Gaunts try anything against us, then they will be in breach of direct order of the crown. But for that, we do need it to stick after others loses some of its power. Now with the return of the princes, that's due to happen, I think. He will no longer be in charge.
You really think Balerion is going to go out that easily?
No, I do not think so. But I am sure that people will try. And it's going to be really hard to decide on which side of that balance we want to hang.
I know one of them which wants to try is sat downstairs right now having a lovely conversation with a Dornish woman.
Yes. There is some bias, I'd say, in Bellamy's choice.
I'd be careful with Bellamy. He is a snake.
Everyone
A
is.
useful snake. A generous snake when time is in his favor, but a snake nonetheless.
Everyone in this city is a snake, Allegra.
Good, you're
This is
finally
why,
learning.
well, I had to. But this is why we need Jaime, because Jaime has leverage on Bellamy. If you want to keep him on our good side, I think we need him. But currently, Jaime is finding Tarla. And that is still my number one priority.
Good. Any word?
No, I can't exactly communicate with them. Yes, them. Adeline
Them?
is also with Jaime.
I see.
She escaped, Allegra.
Escaped, did she?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, she knows those woods back the back of her hand. She's a very talented huntress. She could easily escape.
She was.
I'm sure you did
arms, all
everything
the
in your
guards knew her.
power to bring her to justice for the terrible, terrible crime that she committed.
Of course, and I still am. There's currently a search party. Bellamy's arranging it, actually. They will be going to search for Adeline.
I see. And what of the matter of the treason she committed?
Well, if the search party does find her, then I think it's up to the crown to decide, Allegra. I can't protect everyone anymore.
She'll be executed. At least.
Most likely. Unless we find a way to make it not. But I must confess I am running out of ideas.
Fortunately, with all my talents, I don't think I could talk the crown out of executing a traitor.
I know. I know. I genuinely have no idea how to proceed. There are other things we must take into account, things we need to fix. I haven't been able to focus on the business. We still don't have the funds to. It's too much. I cannot do anything else to save Adeline. She made her choice.
We all make our choices, Astor.
Yes. Some poorer than others.
And in this moment, we pan away from Bellamy's apartment out into what is a growing darkness over the city of King's Landing, and we travel north by way of Raven's Wings, out to dark forests, to the smoke that spirals out of a small hut in the woods. On the road, 3 riders in a cart. Jaime, Adeline, Sir Tim, and their 4 dead women. 3 dead women. However many I said it was previously. 3. Thank you. And you slow as you approach this house. This is the house that you had uncovered the location of during your research at House Brax, Adeline. Jaime has been in a morose mood all day. The amount of wine he consumed did not really help. He has been pressing for more, and you see him dip into that wineskin on occasion as you approach this house, the house of the courier Anitha. And he is swaying a little in his seat as he tries to focus on the road. We're here.
Oh, good. She'll tell him to stop and kind of just get off of her horse, Tim. It's just gonna be me. Make sure he doesn't fall wrong. If you need to, take him off to the side, put him in the tree, or put him in the cart. Make sure he doesn't suffocate himself. It's gonna have quite a rude awakening when he gets me.
I need to be there. And as he says this, he calls it out a little too loud. And you see the door of the hut open. And in the center of this lit doorway, Lydia, what does Adeline see?
You see a very tall and very slender woman with long, bony fingers, and a very gaunt face. You see brown eyes, almost black, dark hair, not too well kept, and the white in her eyes is almost of a yellowish tone, almost glowing in that shadow. As she steps forward, in her hand, a hair, half skinned. And she is tearing with a loud, really painful sound, tearing the last bit of skin off that hair, throws it into a bucket that is just outside. Several skins in there already. And just watches.
Adeline calls out, "Are you Anitha?"
The very same.
Good. Been looking for you. Mind if I trouble you with your time? Come a long way.
She looks from you to Jaime to the other person. You see a little bit of a frown on her face. And then she walks back into her hut. The door is still ajar.
Adeline will look at Tim. You are his squire. You've sworn that, correct?
Of course. I made an oath, and it means I can't go home.
And what state do you think your dear knight is in right now?
He's pissed.
Yes. And we've come all this way to speak with that woman. And you need to make sure that you're
that
charged.
He has a dramatic and sober entrance into this scene.
No. Tim, I don't jest. You need to take care of him and make sure that he's safe. Because in his current condition, he is going to be of no help.
I'll take his sword for sharpening and polishing.
No.
No, I won't.
No.
I
No,
will
Tim.
watch him and make sure
You
nothing happens.
need to hear and understand what people tell you if you're going to be a good squire. If not, the world is a cruel place, Tim. People are not forgiving. You need to do your duty, follow orders, and let's not be opaque with this, Tim. That is an order from me.
I just thought, because if I took his sword, then he wouldn't have it and he couldn't do any harm to himself or anyone else with it.
He is a drunken fool at the moment, Tim.
That's not my place. I'll stay with him. I'm sorry.
Yes. I'm sorry. It's been a few days.
I don't think you should keep her waiting.
Certainly not. Take care and yell for me if anything comes up.
All right.
And make sure he doesn't fall off that horse.
And Jaime is busy playing with the strap of his sword. He was trying to pull his sword out and it wouldn't come out and he can't figure out why. And now he's playing with the belt buckle as if that is the mechanism for getting his sword out of his scabbard. He is drunk, blind drunk. And luckily that is distracting in this moment.
Mm-hmm. She thinks about just laying into him when he wakes up, but she's seen this state of inebriation and his body will be enough punishment for him when he wakes up. He's gonna have a hell of a time. And she's not in the mood. And
so
she
Tim
heads
stays with the cart and Jaime, and you go into this small hut.
Mm-hmm.
When you walk in, on the table, there is a plate with food and a cup with water. It smells delicious. It is roasted liver and some root vegetables. Generally, the hut is fairly dark. Some of the windows are shuttered, others are just fairly dirty. And there are plenty of herbs and skins drying, especially above the fire. She is preparing the hair, has her back to you.
Apologies if we interrupted anything.
No. This is for you, if you want it. I have eaten.
As have I. And over the trip, I've lost a little bit of my appetite. Mostly here, less here for pleasantries and more for information, although something tells me that you might know that we were headed up this way, or that someone was.
I was told. And she gestures a little bit to on the other side of the table, where you see bones. Several bones, seemingly scattered in no direct pattern. The outlaw and the little dragon. He seems worse for wear.
You could see that from the distance that you saw him is teetering on his horse. But
I could smell it from the
I know,
distance.
Yes, but I know well of seeing and some experience observing. So, and I'm not. Current events have made me less skeptical of them. So, I will not waste your time and mine. This time is of the essence. Where are they?
Who might you be inquiring to? Say their names.
I do not know their names, but my beloved, my Della, considered them, her sisters, and I think she wanted me to find them.
Huh.
Does that name sound familiar at all?
And there I thought you'd rather find Della.
Yes. I would if she were alive. I have been told otherwise. Sacrificed a lot because of it.
So did Della.
I know.
She is not now, but she will be again. Can you not feel it? Do you not know it deep inside?
That part of me has been dead for a while. I have not.
Oh,
but I'm also looking for another. We are here, not... He is here. And I am partially here. To find my cousin. Who I will not have I will not have verbal sparring about whether or not you know of her. You must. You're with them. You know of them. And I want to find her. And bring her home.
And I want you to say her name. Your face. There is so much
Tarla.
on your face.
Why? Yes, Tarla. That's it. Name. Yes.
Drink the water. It will be better for you.
I am going to ask Lydia to make a persuasion convince.
I can do that.
Because I believe Anitha genuinely would like Adeline to drink this water.
12.
12. So your intrigue defense.
That beats my intrigue defense.
Okay. So you still have agency, Shauna. You can still make the decision not to. But the way I'm going to work this is using the Sword Chronicle rules, which means you're going to gain, for now, I'm going to call it frustration. Every round you don't drink this water until Anitha gives you a good reason not to drink it. You get, an awareness that she's being deceptive, or she gives a hint that it's actually dangerous.
She'll look at it and just frown and look back at her. If I know enough that if I don't do this, you will not tell me. And I know well enough that I can't convince a corpse to let its secrets go. And that if something happens to me, there will be a reckless man behind me, not too far off. And if you think this scares me, if I don't find both of them, and I'm dead either way, she will grab the vessel and drink it without breaking eye contact with her.
And she raises her bony fingers to her face and smiles. Like a very proud mother.
She'll just say, after she's like, I am not afraid of the stranger.
And as you drink it, you feel it's sweet. It's refreshing. It's ice cold. And you feel dizzy, almost. You feel like you want to sit down. And you might sit down. The chair is right there, almost as if it's placed deliberately, just a little bit away from the table where you stood. And she rushes forward and holds your head between her bony fingers as you feel something taking you over. You feel, you hear, you see things that you know for a second cannot be there, aren't there, as her blackish eyes take over your whole field of vision. And you hear her voice from all sides, from within your head, from right in front of you as she whispers, but the movement of her lips isn't exactly timed with those words reverberating. There will be a mother of beasts and ashes, the herald of the longest night. Unless we trust the prophet. You have to trust the prophet. You have before. You can again. Adeline. Why are you not answering her calls anymore?
I think at that when that realization hits her, I didn't want any part of all this Mother of Dragons, darkness, whatever this is. I just want them back. And you talked to me about not feeling that. I thought she was gone. I thought she was gone. And now I thought she was dead. I haven't spoken about that in years. Close that off.
What would you give to have her back?
I have already given so much.
And she demands more.
What does she want? How many of them does she want to die? How many of her? I got one. How many of her family need to pay?
Not her family. They made her a martyr. She will rise above. She will forget them. And she will help you forget them. They are not the true enemy.
And who is, if not them?
The dragons.
Which ones?
All of them.
You mean for them, for us, to declare our entire line? I fought in that war because my family did. I gave not a care which one of them ascended that throne until my family picked a side. And you mean for me to be an instrument of what?
We are all instruments. We are all used, and we use others. The cause is what matters.
And I have been used to kill enemies, and look where that has gotten us. They said my family would be safe and that we'd have an elevated position, but that
Politics.
died.
Politics. I'm not talking
Politics
about politics,
because my
girl.
friends,
I'm talking
family,
about
my
the
father,
dead
and my
walking the
cousin.
earth. Do not think
You
I meddle in
talk
politics.
of children's stories about spirits.
And you want to believe them,
No
don't
spirits.
you? Because if you believe those children's stories, then you can believe that she will come back to you. And she will. She can. She wants to.
All right. As we hit this point in the conversation, I would like to say thank you to Doc Rimbo for donating a crit to Lydia. And I would like us to roll for social intrigue.
Oh boy.
So this is a status reading test, Lydia.
Mhm.
So if you take a look at
Just
that and roll
regular
that.
status.
Yeah. And if you have any bonus dice in breeding, they can count. I don't think you do, though.
I do not meddle in politics.
Nope. And Shauna, what did you get?
Oh, there you go. 12.
12. All right, so Shauna, you're going to go first. What you both need to do is decide on your goal for this conversation. You don't have to say it out loud. Just have it set in your mind. This is the outcome that I am looking for in this conversation. And you need to set your disposition towards the other person. Disposition ranges from affectionate at the top all the way down to malicious at the bottom. This sets essentially your soak for social intrigue damage. So once you've got that, keep that to yourself as well. Just make a note. And Shauna, you'll be acting first.
I want to kind of ruminate on what she has been saying. I want to think about the words, what this means. So I'm going to read target. See if I can pick up anything from her.
So read target is an awareness empathy test versus your target's passive deception. Lydia, your passive deception is your deception rank times 4.
Is that written up somewhere?
So your deception is your ability. And then you just times that number by 4.
Okay.
All right. So roll that for us then, Shauna. Awareness empathy.
13.
Does that beat your
Mine's
passive
12.
deception?
Yeah.
So on a success, Adeline will learn the target's disposition towards her, their last technique, which is irrelevant for this, I will say, and then a +1 bonus dice to persuasion test for the duration of an intrigue. So Lydia, what is Anitha's disposition towards Adeline?
Indifferent.
Indifferent.
We're all tools.
I will remind players you can change disposition throughout the intrigue as you have successful actions. But we'll deal with that as that happens. So she's indifferent towards you, Adeline, and you have a +1 bonus dice, Shauna, for persuasion tests for the duration of the intrigue.
Okay. All right.
So Lydia, it's now your turn. As Adeline takes a moment in this conversation to really look into Anitha's dark eyes and take stock of this situation.
So my general idea is to convince or incite.
Okay. So, what do you say?
Insight. All dragons must leave this earth. We are prepared to give everything for this cause. And you were prepared to give so much. We respect that. But will you be strong enough for her, for Della, who has given everything?
Ooh.
Right, so roll that persuasion insight.
Persuasion insight. Oh. I'm gonna use a crit.
Okay, so this adds essentially a additional rank, so it's not bonus dice, Lydia. So if your persuasion, for example, is currently 3 and you want to use one of those dice, it goes up to a 4. If you want to use 2, you go up to a 5.
So do I add that by bonus dice?
I would just increase the whole ability rank for now temporarily, and then just take it down back to where it was after the roll. It's the easiest way.
Nope, that's a fail.
Okay. 9 versus your intrigue defense, Shauna.
It's 4 times the. Is it will? Just to double check.
I think so. I think that's how intrigue defense is made.
It's 12. That does not.
Your intrigue defense is 9 according to your sheet.
Is it? Oh, there we go. Okay. 9. Okay, so it
on
did
the
hit it.
second page. Yeah, so 1 degree. And insight uses your cunning rank as damage, Lydia.
That's 3.
Okay.
Okay. Does not get through the damage reduction. I think her disposition is.
Is it? Oh, sorry, but the deception speciality bluff, because I'm just looking at the cheat sheet as well. For insight, is that not a thing?
Only if you're bluffing about what you want to. I don't think you were being deceptive, so that's like the counterpart. Yeah, so it would be cunning.
Gotcha.
For this.
Gotcha. Thanks.
Because essentially, the thinking behind the mechanics is you're using their will kind of against them. You're trying to provoke them into an action by being clever about who they are to get what you want from them and the circumstance.
Yeah.
All right, so 3.
All right, it just hits. It gets almost through all.
So what's your disposition? Just for the. Oh, you've got it. Okay, cool.
I think it's indifferent. We're not. She's suspicious.
Okay.
She's not unfriendly to the degree
Yeah,
that.
so essentially that'll soak all of that damage. It doesn't actually eat into your social intrigue health pool, so to speak. All right, Adeline, it's your turn.
You bring up her name over and over again, telling me what I have sacrificed. If this is so important, and if you're so sure that she is coming back, I want to hear it from herself. Herself, not an intermediary. If I listen, it will be from her only. You keep using her name as a bludgeon for me to believe you.
And the fact that it works tells me everything I need to know. You want her back.
Hard.
You want to hear it from her. Good. You can.
Then tell me where we can find her. Because I tire of finding these cryptic notes, these ghastly displays, these letters that dog every step that we have gone on, which means they know, you know. I am tired of being pulled around. I don't care. I just want to find Tarla. And if if Della is still, if I want to see with my own eyes. To hell with all of this. Dragons, darkness. You know what I did. I don't know if my cousin is alive. Famine told. I don't know if the Gaunts
Names.
destroyed my house. I have.
Houses.
All right, Adeline, roll. I think this is a persuasion convince, right? You're trying to convince Anitha to give you these answers, and because you confess that you care about Della, I think it is persuasion. If you want to roll this as a deception, if you think you're holding anything back or you've lied,
No.
or are you going for insight?
This is a persuasion, but Adeline has a drawback where she is hot-headed and can only convince through intimidation.
You open with intimidation.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna say that for the roleplay, you're gonna get an additional bonus dice from me, as you very clearly laid out your case. So additional bonus dice to your roll. Yeah, you can roll persuasion and intimidate.
Okay. So it's a bonus dice and.
Yep. Plus whatever you normally roll.
I'm gonna use one of my my crits for that as well. Okay, so that's bonus dice on that one. All right. $15.
This is versus your intrigue defense, Lydia.
Yeah, that's 10 for me.
Okay, so on a 10, that will be 2 degrees of success, Shauna. And on intimidation, it's your will rank in damage.
My will is 3.
Whatever that is. 3. 3 times 2 is 6. That's reduced by your disposition, Lydia, to 3 composure damage. As Adeline becomes enraged, impassioned, makes it very clear this is the way it's going to be.
I think she also, like, do you have contact with her? Like, you're holding her up, right?
I think we're still in that sort of locked thing, yeah. Feel free to push me back. That's fine.
No, I think she grabs your wrist and just, like, holds it.
I would like to tell you everything. I would love for you to join, to be a part of this cause, yet you come here traveling with a dragon. A little dragon. A drunk dragon. Half a dragon. But one of them, nonetheless. He will be your downfall. Our downfall. He will be Della's downfall. How can I trust you when you still hold on to houses, names, politics? A world that does not matter in the long run.
Because I have not been shown otherwise. All I have are letters in her hand and cries of the dragons that must be destroyed. And that's all. I will not pledge myself to empty promises, falsehoods.
She is defying death for you and all of us. She is calling to you. That is not nothing.
Alright, I'd like you both to make your rolls for the next part of the conversation.
Okay.
And we'll take Lydia's first, and then it'll be yours, Shauna.
Okay. Just
Entirely too many ones.
Got the new no seat today.
yeah.
Mhm.
Oof. All right.
Alright, so that's 1 degree of success for Lydia. And that's cunning damage again, so that's 3 points of damage, Shauna.
Okay. Yep. That's not
And then
go
what is
through.
your roll?
All right. I hit the roll, but it may come up twice. So, where the first one is.
You might need to click it again, it's not come through.
Yeah. There you go. Oof. Okay. 7. 7 was the first one.
Okay.
Oof. No. Nope.
Right. Nope. Alright, so no real effect. It's not nothing that Della is coming back from the dead. That was the last thing the witch said to you.
You keep bringing her name that she will come back. I have little patience left with regards to her and strangers bringing up her name to me. If they want me to find them, and she wanted me to find them, to be her champion, with this, she'll show the piece of metal with her name on it. And fate deems us to meet. I want to know now, because if your belief is strong enough, then I don't need you. Because with what you've said, that is high treason. And I have all the reason. I don't have any reason not to.
Treason. Our champion. Yes, I can see it. There is still fire in you. It can burn hotter than the dragon's breath. You see her eyes dart to the cup on the table. You felt her within the water. And there she is waiting for you. Water from a lake. 3 days north. Through the forest. Cold. Fresh. Life itself can be given. Rebirth can be achieved. You said her name, and you felt her call. Someone else has felt the call before, and she too will be waiting for you. I promise. But what about him? Will he be happy to see them? Will he help to bring peace at the cost of his name? At the cost of his legacy. He is so proud of his name and legacy. He would sacrifice you in a heartbeat.
You brought up Tarla. What is her place in this? Why has she been pulled into this? If it's me that Della wants, why her? Why her?
She is needed. As are you.
Like those girls? She'll point to the direction of the wagon. Sacrifice? Answer me. I have a line. You said I've had... I do. I will not give her up. For the sake of another.
We need 3.
Free.
Not death. Not sacrifice. We need you to go beyond. No human can defeat a dragon. We need you to be
There are no
more.
more dragons. There are only men who use them as a shield.
Oh, you've got it the wrong way around, girl. There are only dragons who use men as their shield. We peel man away if we have to get to what's hiding inside.
They are just men. The Targaryens. If I go, can I do it alone?
Will you take that choice away from her? I am not taking it away from you.
I will follow. Up until I hear some answers. I want to hear it from her. I want to hear it from somebody that I cannot repute. And if all of this tracking, all of this hunting, all of these portents are a ploy to get me, set my bow on the Targaryens,
She is very proud of you. And before you can really react, she takes powder from one of the pouches on her apron, blows it into your face. And for a split second, you see Della before you. You are not in a hut. It no longer smells of cooked liver and herbs. It smells of forest and fresh water. And Della is standing in the middle of a lake, holding out a hand to you.
This catches her incredibly off guard, and it takes her a little while to realize that it's her. Her eyes go wide. She takes a few moments just not breathing, just looking at her. And she reaches out. That testing hand to see if what's in front of her is real. She'll try and grasp her hand.
As your hand reaches out, it touches cool flesh, moist, wet skin, dripping. And that hand reaches out and its fingers, tips first, touch yours, and then fingers tangle and wrap. And she grips onto your hand. And as you reach palm to palm, you return to Anitha.
There are the areas where her face has been kind of dirty by travel are like clean, like her tears have like washed away. There's like two vertical streams down her face. She's kind of just like doing that, kind of like twitching, like right before you're going to start to cry. What was that?
That was what could be. What will be.
What do we need to do go further? Find them.
Rest. Sleep. And trust her. She loves you still. And you feel tired. You feel days worth of travel in your bones. Sleep wanting to take you over.
I think while that's happening, she's kind of like wringing her hands a little bit, like trying to remember that feeling of that embrace. And yeah, she'll drift off.
Shauna, as you drift off, I'd like you to make a will test for me.
Okay.
You can add any courage bonus dice you have.
Okay. I will add one of my crits on that.
Okay. Good choice.
Oh, good. Oh, good. 14.
On a 14, the sleep takes you. It's one of those sleeps where you don't remember crossing into unconsciousness. And you are not aware as the tall form of Anitha scoops you up like a babe in arms and carries you out to the cart. Atop the cart, Sir Tim lays asleep, and Jaime is laid in the back with the others. You are placed beside him on a bed of furs. Another woman joins Anitha, and they guide your horses in the cart away into the woods. But all you experience in this time is standing, staring at the edge of the lake, surrounded by the smell of wet earth and plant life, listening and waiting. A drop of rain falls through the canopy of the forest, touches the lake, and slowly the ripples spread until they reach your feet at the shore. And slowly, something begins. Allegra, Astor. The night has gone on. You've talked through much, and you've been left in the quiet of Bellamy's room. But you can hear the party downstairs growing more raucous. Laughter. It seems another musician may have arrived based on the amount of music that cascades up the stairs. And outside the door, you can hear the voice of Bellamy going, "I'm afraid the bedroom's rather busy right now, but we do have this spare room." And across the hall, another door is opened. You have the feeling Bellamy is raising his voice to let you know there are people in the room across the hall from yours. And then the sound of his footsteps on the tread going back down to his party.
I feel that perhaps we're overstaying our welcome.
It would seem so. There is nonetheless a party going on downstairs, and we do have some time until our appointment. If you are, of course, still planning on joining.
Of course.
Good.
And I think Allegra at this point looks around. Where did Donella go?
I'm not sure. She left the room. Is she not outside? And Astor kind of opens the door and looks around.
Oh, you muted Charlie.
Muted.
As you look around, at the bottom of the stairs, looking up, is the Lady Will. And she arches an eyebrow at you. Will I be waiting all night, my lord?
Astor kind of steps out and closes the door behind him. No, absolutely not. I was done. I will be coming down right now. And he starts making his way down. Speaking loudly enough for Allegra to hear.
Mm-hmm. As Astor steps out and heads down, Allegra just has a moment to herself to process everything. And partly in her mind, all she can think of is Astor being like, what if he is? What if you're wrong? And she allows herself just a moment to entertain those fears. And I think she just has a very, very quick, when you just have a sob that just comes out and she can't stop it, before she quickly wipes her eyes and straightens up what's her filthy clothing and heads out the door.
Returning to the main room, Donella is sat next to Bellamy, and he seems to be keeping an eye on her. You see him glancing occasionally, even as he tells a story, and he smiles as Astor comes down following the Lady Will. And the party continues, essentially. Bellamy lets you follow the Lady Will. But Allegra, as you come down the stairs, having restored your composure, you see the window beside Bellamy's table. And you see the face of Ellen looking in. And she's squinting, trying to see through this glass, trying to see into the party.
So Allegra just makes her way over to Bellamy and Donella, and she kind of just comes across and kisses the side of Danella's head and just says, Bellamy, can you just keep an eye on her for just a moment longer? Thank you.
Such wonderful company.
She's a good girl. And part of that's a threat. She says that. Before Allegra, she just turns and goes outside to Ellen. And sort of off away from the house, away from the window. She's like, what?
Bad news, my lady.
What is it?
Another ship's arrived. From Tyrosh.
And?
Another delivery. With silver.
Spit it out.
Your uncle, the Lord Bywater. It was his head, my lady, in a barrel of Blackfire coins. They had to dig. It wasn't in a good way.
And Allegra's face is grief and fury and a little bit like she wants to be sick as she hears this. And where is it now?
It's at court. They don't know what to do with it.
Tell them that I will be arriving shortly.
I only know because I stopped Sir Bellamy's boy. And down the stairs, you can see this boy, and he's white, holding his face as if he's been slapped really good.
It's resourceful. I like it. Go to the keep. Tell them I'll be there shortly, yes?
Yes, my lady. You'll tell...
Anything else I need to know?
Prince Baelor's there.
See.
You should tell the Lord Astor that's who I'd come to tell.
I intend on. No, go on.
All right, then. Yes.
And Allegra heads back inside.
And you hear the footsteps of that boy coming up the stairs. He was told to wait until she'd gone and then he could deliver the message. Mm-hmm. She wanted to get the information in first.
Astor?
Yes?
Sorry to tear you away from your wonderful party. I'm sure you're having a great time. There's been a delivery at the keep.
And am I right in assuming that this delivery requires our immediate attention?
Yes.
Family matters?
Yes?
Very well. I am once again terribly sorry, turning to, again, Lady Will and Bellamy. It appears that being the lord of the house is not only parting as you will. I shall make sure that I come back for our arranged meeting already. But it seems there are things happening at the keep. Kind of side-eye Allegra, kind of questioning, at the same time that he stands up. And
You are going to the Red Keep,
Potentially.
my lord.
I think so. Allegra? Where is
Yes,
this
we
delivery
are.
coming?
Then I shall come with you.
Very well.
I'd rather prefer it if you didn't. This is a family matter. No offense intended.
My brother describes the Lord Astor as his blood brother, a brother in war. So you see, we are family.
Perhaps. And she gives
I'm
Astor this look like, ditch your girlfriend. I'm really not in the mood for this game.
No, Astor will turn back to Lady Will and to Allegra simultaneously. Well, the Red Keep is a large place. I'm sure Lady Will can accompany us, and if it turns out that it is a closer family issue, then we can reassess. For now, I see no problem in her accompanying
By
us.
all means, Astor, if the decapitated head of our uncle is an aphrodisiac for you, bring her along. And Allegra just storms out.
My lady, it appears that the issue does involve a decapitated head. If you still wish to accompany us, by all means, but if you would rather not, then I would understand.
Now you really have my attention. She
Very
smiles,
well.
and it's dangerous. It's not so much like I find heads sexy, it's now this is actually interesting to me. Let's go.
Yeah. Well, in that
I
case,
also like the heads of my enemy delivered.
In that case, I shall ask you to make haste. And he starts storming off after Allegra.
Excuse me, Bellamy, I have a husband to keep up with. She rolls her eyes really fucking hard and heads out. You arrive at the Red Keep, and it's a gathering of 12. Everyone is stood almost in a circle around this site in the middle, which is this barrel. The barrel has been busted open with hammer and axe, and the silver has spread out. And you can see where there's almost hand marks where they've clawed through it to find out what the point of it was. You know, what's in the barrel was definitely the question. And at the head of the circle, so to speak, stands Prince Baelor looking down. He seems pale in the light of this room. There aren't as many torches as normal lit. Court hadn't been in session. This is just the main chamber room. And they're all looking down. There's quiet mutterings between a few of them, but there's a strange silence as you come in, and your footsteps echo around this room.
Allegra lets Astor walk slightly in front of her. See? Compromise.
Proud of you. I'm proud of you both. Look at this growth.
Yeah, so Astor will take that slight lead to pick up the pace a little bit, and upon reaching the circle of people, announce his presence with a courteous, "My lord, we've heard the news. We came as fast as we could."
I am very sorry for your loss. He glances to the side and an assistant of sorts appears who says a little something to him, confirming that yes, you are who he thought you were, and that's good because otherwise it would have been really embarrassing. And it's more as his eyes go to Allegra that he recognizes her. If you will excuse me, I must give my father an appraisal of the situation.
Of course, Your
My
Grace.
lords, ladies. And he turns and he walks to the back of the room. He's accompanied by two of the other lords, and they disappear behind a door that clicks shut. The other lords look nervous as they glance towards you.
Where is his head?
From the shadows steps forwards your cousin, Sir Lucan of the King's Guard. And he walks to the center of the circle, and he lifts a part of the shattered barrel away. And there is his father's head. And you can see red ribbons, old and crusty now, where a sword has hacked at this head. There's a grayness to the skin, and you are grateful the eyes have been closed.
I think even though they're not particularly close, Allegra goes over to Lucan, and if he allows it, she'll pull him into a hug.
His body is relatively stiff, but you feel the hand and the arm come up to support you against him. And his eyes trail over to Astor. He looks, you know him well. You spent time with him at Belsey. And he looks in shock and confused. He doesn't understand how his father's head is here. It makes no sense to him. His father is to him someone who will live forever.
Yeah. Astor will wait for the hug to break and then approach Lucan, and in a more hushed tone, kind of preventing the other people in the room to listening to it properly. Just, "Oh, by the seven, Lucan, I'm so sorry. This is terrible. I'm sorry. You don't deserve this. What's in your mind?"
He was the Lord of Belsey for just a week.
I know.
All that time waiting for the sea to turn.
It's terrible. I know how it feels. You remember well when it happened to me, when my father died in Redgrass. You were there to comfort me, and even despite everything that happened. Even then, you understood and stood by my side, so if there is anything that I can do to help you, please don't hesitate.
You need to take him home.
Of course.
I'm not permitted to leave.
Of course. Is there any message you'd like me to carry?
I think perhaps my brother would like to hear the news from the Lady Allegra.
Of course.
You're a mother. You'll be gentle with him. And he pats your back and moves away from the embrace. He looks embarrassed as he's aware there are still 9 men in this room stood around his father's head on this pile of silver, and straightens up and goes back to guarding the door, shutting down from the conversation, shutting down from the circumstance.
Allegra turns and she really, like, I think for the first time, looks at her uncle's head. And she's staring at it when she says, bring me something that I can... Bring me something I can carry it with.
If I might help, my lady. And the lady will pull some of the silks from about her person. It's a nice ornate shawl. And she will approach the pile very cautiously. And with a permission from either yourself or Astor, she's going to cover the head and then carefully wrap it in the silk.
Allegra stops her from touching the head. She takes the silk. Thank you. I'd rather do this myself.
As you wish.
And she wraps the head in the silks and she holds it in her arms.
My lords, will you do nothing to help? Clean this up. And a couple of the lords kind of start like, oh, we were meant to be doing something. Okay. And they sheepishly come over and they start piling up this silver.
Astor, can you see to chartering as a ship to Belsey?
Yes, of course.
You may have mine, if you would like. It awaits in the harbor. It is used to southern waters, but I am sure it can manage to cross the bay.
Yes, it shouldn't be that hard. That would be very much appreciated, given the circumstances and the pressing of time. Turns to Allegra. You will be coming, yes?
Yes, I intended to go that way anyway. I was headed home. I hoped
Okay.
with happier news.
No news are happy, I'm starting to think. Yes, and I kind of turn to the rest of the people in the room. At least can someone procure some sort of place where we can transport the remains, please, instead of just looking around?
They kind of follow your request. A couple of the more senior nobles that Allegra might have recognized if she'd been really paying attention to who was in the room, take their leave, and the lesser court members see to fulfilling whatever you request.
Someone will need to send a message to Lord Otherus. that we can regrettably no longer attend his meeting.
Yes. I think we should quickly go by Bellamy's again. He arranged the meeting. I think he can deal with informing him as well.
I can do it. I'll speak to him.
Very well. If in that case, I shall make sure that the remains are carried onto Lady Will's vessel, and then we are ready for when you arrive.
She's gonna very gingerly hand over the head. She doesn't know how you carry someone's head, and she hands it over. She's not afraid of the gore, but she's killed a man. But how do you do this? Right?
Essentially, a crate for apples has been brought, a small kind of crate, and that's been brought because they don't conveniently have ornate head boxes hanging around the Red Keep. So the guy essentially went to the kitchens and found something for you to put the head in.
Worst. So Astor would take the head from Allegra and carefully put it in said box, and then as solemnly as he can, given that he knows that Lucan is still towards the back of the room, and start carrying it, and turns to Lady Will. If you really don't mind doing us this favor, then perhaps we could go. The sooner the better.
Of course. I'll take care of it, make sure the ship is ready for you.
Thank you. And so, out of character, Charlie, how long is the trip? Mm-hmm. Is it close by?
It's not long. It's once you're underway, it's going to take you an hour, 2 hours at most to get across, depending on the speed of the vessel you're on.
Oh, okay. All right, fine.
It's literally just out in the harbor.
Okay.
I was about to give you the example of from Bournemouth to the Isle of Wight, but that's not going to help you. So yeah, it's an hour to 2 hours, depending on what boat you're riding on. How much haste the skipper is making.
Very well, I appreciate it, and perhaps it is a quick journey, but we can converse better on the way, because I assume that we won't have much time for that once we arrive, perhaps later.
My lord, I was not aware I was invited to attend.
Consider this an official invitation. If you wish to, you're welcome to come. It is your vessel, after all. If nonetheless you do not feel comfortable in accompanying us due to the sensitive matter it is, I totally understand if you refuse.
I understand what upheaval in a house is like. I could perhaps help with the household, which I imagine will be in some chaos.
I think that might be the case.
I will see you by this ship. And she'll give you the name of the ship.
Yeah. Very well. And if she leaves in that case,
all right. So next week, my intention is that we're gonna just teleport you to Belsey Castle. Mm-hmm. So this is gonna be your chance to set in motion anything you want to have happened before then. So please finish your conversation, but just bear in mind I'm gonna ask you very quickly anything else you want before we go.
No. It was literally just going to Allegra and informing her that Lady will be accompanying us. It is her ship, after all.
Allegra is too upset right now to slap you like you deserve. But instead of walking out, with you to go to Bellamy's to tell him about Balerion, Allegra goes in the direction of Balerion's office, where she knows where she went that one time and had a very nice afternoon.
With the balcony.
Okay.
Good balcony.
Right, Allegra, as you are pushing through the Red Keep, I'm going to do this really quick because I know Nuno needs to run shortly. As you're pushing through the Red Keep, the maid Ellen finds you, and she passes you a small package. And in this package, you can smell it straight away. It's full of mint, fresh mint.
She opens it up.
It'll help with this seasickness.
Ah, thank you. Yes, seasickness.
You need to look after yourself, my lady.
I am doing.
If it would be all right, I would like to help you. I'm not much
do
of
you
a
mean?
lord's maid, but I am a lady's maid. And there is no lady at House Tremaine. Not at present.
Very well. It's been a while since I've had the service of a lady's maid.
You'll want to take it in your tea.
Thank you.
I'll see to getting you some fresh dresses.
Thank you, Ellen. I appreciate it.
And she excuses herself and goes away. You open the door to Valerion's office, and he is sat in there, and he's looking at a map. It's a map of the sea between Westeros and Essos. You can see thin lines of ink that trace trade routes, you imagine. And you can see ink in a fresher hue that traces the ships that had gone south to Tyrosh. And small markers indicating the ones that returned. What would you like to ask of Valerian?
She is basically just telling him that they can't make their meeting, as they have to take the body of their uncle to Belsey. But she is basically gonna try and hammer home make sure our end of the deal goes through. There is no official marriage, that all the gaunt business is dealt with.
He presents to you the contract that Astor had signed, and on it is his signature, Wendell Gaunt's signature, but there is still a space for the king's signature, which remains unsigned. The final step in annulling this betrothal between the houses.
Allegra smiles and she says, I would very much like to see that signed before my child is born.
He looks up at you. He's been pretty stoic this entire time, very much not his normal self, very morose. Child, my lady.
I'm with child.
Whose?
And she just gives him a smile.
He nods, and you will leave uncertain as to what that nod means.
The
But
smile
there
was
is a
neither
nod.
yes nor no. Just playing that out there, but
Yeah.
she's playing a game.
Yep. And so is he. And we will leave him playing the game for you. And as I said, you will be going to Belsey Castle. Nuno, are there any final arrangements Astor would make to go to Belsey Castle?
No, nothing that he can't do while he's there, so it's fine.
Awesome. And so that is where we're going to leave today's episode, with Astor and Allegra on their way to the Bywater household with body parts, with Anitha driving body parts through the woods, ready for our penultimate episode next week. Crazy. Millie is hopefully going to be back and joining us, so keep an eye out for that. Very excited. Best wishes to Sam, who had a headache today and unfortunately couldn't join us for stream. Much love to all of our Chaos Chorus family. Thank you for everyone who hit retweet. Thank you for everyone who watched on YouTube. And thank you to Doc and our subs for the bonus dice. There was a boon today. Did you notice it? Was her name Ellen? Yes, it was. So let's go around and do our outros as quickly as possible. We're going to start with Nuno because I know Nuno has a game to get to.
Yes, exactly. Hey, I'm Nuno. This was really fun. I really have to go. But you can find me exactly in 20 minutes over twitch.tv/Chromatic Chimera playing Quest, the Soaring City, our Quest RPG actual play. It's super fun. Super cool people. Yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Please do go and check that out. Shauna, how are you feeling? Are you doing okay?
I'm feeling great. Honestly, yes. I'm used to it being on the other side of that witch conversation because that's how I am.
And where can we find you and all of that good stuff?
Flying Cirrus on Twitter, Art and the streams I'm on. If you like, I am the scary witch on Wandering DM's channel, the Black Flag, a Powered by the Apocalypse game where I did bad things in the name of love. I will not be honest, it was not great. But it's fun. And maybe she broke up with her demon boyfriend, so hey.
My brain just went, in the name of love, bad things in the name of love. At the moment, I'm sorry.
And next time you see me, I'll be on this just encounter for the Sword of Kalis, where we are probably going to negotiate some Ferengi, so that should be interesting. And we may have a pet. I don't know. This should be fun.
A pet? I'm excited for that. Speaking of pets, shout out to our guest star, Tara, who was looking after the Wiz Witch Anitha all through that stream. And thank you so much to Lydia. I hope you're free next Monday, because it sounds like you're going to have to come back.
I'm more than happy to. It's apparently, getting people to face horrible emotional trauma and or psychological torture is a thing I do lately. It was not the plan, but here we are, and I love it. And if you want me to do that again, then maybe tune in. See that transition, almost professional, in about 2 hours over on Couple Press, because today is episode 4 of Lessons in Deep Magic, where we had a very, very emotional bard battle last time, and Colin's going to pick up the pieces of his character, I guess. And Noir and Draco and Savi are hopefully going to have some form of fun. We'll find out. But yeah, that's a D&D 5e campaign. You can also see me on Powered by the Apocalypse World here every Friday at 3 p.m. Lessons in Deep Magic is at 8 p.m.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you so much to the wonderful Susanna Grace.
Oh, hello. Hey, Baylor recognized me. That's what I got out of that scene. Anyway, hi everybody. It's me, Susie. I adore playing this game as always. I'm glad I finally got another scene with Nuno as Astor, even if I was giving him shit. What else am I gonna do? I was super here for Lydia's witchy bullshit. I knew it was a second Charlie was like, Lydia's playing. I'm like, oh, get ready for witchy bullshit. Here she comes. But yeah, it was really, really good. Hey, I've got a brand. You've got a brand. Fucking deal with it.
I'm okay with it. There are definitely worse brands to have.
But yeah, as for me, I'm Susie, otherwise known as Susanna Grace, a variety streamer. I do video games, do art streams, do tabletop RPGs. You can find me right here tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern for Secrets of Pendragon, in which I play the big, buff, strong, incredibly noble and all that goodness Asana, with Charlie as my little squire. We're in trouble. Then on Thursday, catch me on Follow Black Cats for our sister campaign After the Fire, in which I play the right and true Queen of Dawn. So come see me conquer Dawn.
Yes. Highly recommend that. super excited for that. And yeah, I think that is going to be it for us. I'm going to send us a raid over to Table Story where Millie is currently playing. So we'll go and see how she's doing and getting on over there. Thank you all so much for being here. I'm going to let Noir Enigma play us out with a little ditty that we like to call Adeline, What Have You Done? Take care, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow. Check out Cobalt Press later. Bye.
Adeline, what have you done? Murdered a god, now they want someone. Allegra points the finger, but the case is done now. Revenge is a dish that's best served cold. Gone away that feast outside your hold. You hope they buy that lie you told. Crown lands, the fire's meant for our head. Keep close the secrets or you'll end up dead. Here in the land with the wedding's red. Crown lands, the fire's meant for our head. Keep close your secrets or you'll end up dead.